Right, can we start with the salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajam. If you're eating, you're fine. Don't worry. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So what you have with you are some stickers, which I normally use on the Thursday Quran journaling class. They're good to put into your Qurans. So we do them for all the surahs. As we go along, I'll tell you where to put them. If you've got your Qurans, if you don't have them, then you can put them at home. You can also have them online as pictures. I think Zara does them, and she can send them to you, and you can do whatever you have to do there. So the two surahs we're going to concentrate on, Surah Al-Dhuha and Surah Al-Inshirah, right? Before that, we have a book like this. We've got a PDF. I'll put it on the group. It's called The Month of Ramadan. I know Shanaz likes hard copies, but it's got I don't think you need anything else. So at the moment, what I've started to do is annotate the sermon given by the Prophet, which is probably what you will be starting off as when you teach, right? Annotating helps. Giving the children a copy of the sermon, whether you enlarge it to A4 and then give it to them, that's up to you. But hopefully if you start from that age, by the time they get to your age, mine is way away, but by the time they get to your age, they'll be able to know the sermon by heart. Just like they know Yasin. I say by heart, when you listen to Yasin, you know how to recite it. I'll go over it if we've got time, but right now the focus is Dhuhaa and Inshirah. Now if you look at your books that I sent you on PDF, and hopefully we will have the copies then, the 93 and 94 in Quran City are part of comfort zone. It's like a heart. In the book that you've got on there, you've got Quran City on there, and it's comfort zone. And these two surahs were the ones that provided comfort to the Prophet. Somebody just asked me why we picked those two surahs. Well, every time in life, whether it's you or the children, I hope it comes from you as such, is you tend to go through periods of anxiety or difficulty or something that you can't understand. I call it in Gujarati absuk. This unsettledness, and you don't know how to get rid of it. And the Prophet used to recite Dhuhaa and Inshirah, and used to go for a long walk. So walking, Dhuhaa and Inshirah, and we put it in comfort zone. The reason why we picked it was I hope the children don't need it now, but these days I hear a lot about, when I go to schools, they tell me the children suffer more anxiety than the parents they knew before. Maybe it's because it's highlighted. So hopefully they will recite it all that time. You will also find numbers on the front page. For example, Dhuhaa has 89, 93, and 94. I call it the postcode. If a child knows the postcode of each surah, then they will know that 89, 93, 94 is the chronological order of how it was revealed. So surah number 83 was revealed before, then 93, then 94. And if you're going to Inshiraah, you will know 93, 94, and then 103. I'm not going to ask you what 83 is, and neither am I going to ask you what 103 is. I'm hoping you know already. And don't look at me like that, okay? Good. So that's the postcode. So you would be able to, the child would know the postcode of each surah. I say child, I actually mean you, okay? And by that way, you will know the chronological order of the surah, okay? So we're going to start with Surah Al-Dhuha. So first of all, let's have a look at the historical aspect of how it was revealed. So Revelation had a bit of a pause. So there was a pause. It's just like if I picked up my phone on WhatsApp and I saw 2 blue ticks that you've already read. I know these days you can do it so you don't know whether somebody's read it or not. But you can be sneaky, I'm told, and put them on a group. Then you know whether they've seen it on the group. They can't hide it. Did you know that? Oh, I learned that, yes. So, say for example, you've seen that somebody's seen your message, but they're not replying. I'm not looking at anyone here, because you're all very good, but they're just not replying your message. And the anxiety you feel is the anxiety the Prophet felt, because there was always revelation that came. So he was really, really, and on top of that, Jamila, wife of Abu Lahab, really pretty woman, really big shot, like the posh and becks of Makkah, right? Everybody knew them. And she would say to him, oh, so what happened? Where's your God now? Oh, he's abandoned you, hasn't he? because she lived near him, remember houses were such that you had walls, but there was nothing on top. So you knew what somebody was like, so what somebody was saying. All right? So they knew the enthusiasm wasn't coming through. The Makkan said, has your God abandoned you? Muhammad, what's the matter? Because he was really, really sad. So if you look at Dhuhaa, that's basically how he felt. And you can just imagine 2 ticks and nobody's replying. Now imagine somebody whom you love to bits, whom you know. Forget about the 2 ticks. Okay, say you didn't see 2 ticks, but you can see them online. And yet they are not responding to your message. So you can imagine how the Prophet felt. He really, really felt bad. The surah's focus is about the love between Allah and His Prophet. Okay, I know you've got things like comfort and consolation, the Prophet. On the building, it's got, I think, consolation and comfort to the Prophet. It's got promising an awesome future, a continuous support, whatever. But you're putting a big red heart near it, which means, in essence, Dhuha is about the love between Allah and His Messenger. Now, you can imagine how he's feeling. And this surah is revealed. And it's beautiful. Because he says, Wad-Dhuha, I swear by the early morning light. Now, when you're teaching this, the early morning light, you have to teach 3 times. Fajr, Dhuha, and what's the third one? Do you know? Shuruk. Fajr, Dhuha, and Shuruk. You will find that the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah also prays Salah during Shuruk. We can go into our fiqh later. But Dhuha is the time. It's not Fajr, because Fajr is still dark. Dhuha is when the sun is out, but it's still soothing. If you go to the Middle East, you will find that sort of time. It's there. The brightness is there, but it's soothing. And you find people are moving. If you're in a hotel and you're in Makkah or Medina or Ziyarah, you will find lots of people on the street at that time. Some come for Fajr, but some come at that time, right? So that's Dhuha. Dhuha is movement and it's soothing. Fajr, you know, is dawn. You know that, right? When the sun rises. And Shuruk, in essence, is late morning, about 11 o'clock. So I would say, if you want to teach the children, I would say Fajr, they all know. Dhuha is time to go to school. Okay? And Shuruk is snack time. Not yet lunchtime. Still snack time. Are you good? Or break time. Is that what you call it? Break time. My grandchildren say snack time, so break time. Okay. So you got all three things there. Now, it is akin to revelation. Because Dhuha is revelation. Not only does it cause movement, it gives you light of guidance, but it's also soothing. It keeps your heart at rest. And you can always bring the ayah, Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innal qulub. Right? So it's a whole... You have to teach the 3 times together with them. At that time you teach them, do you know the times for Salah? What would you do? Blah, blah, all the rest of it. I'm not going into all of that. Are you comfortable with that? So you know Wad-Dhuha. Close your eyes, and when I say Wad-Dhuha, you're imagining school time, you're imagining movement. People are starting to move, people are going to work, so on and so forth. Are you good? It's soothing, it's movement, it's waking you up, and it's providing you with guidance. And then he's telling the Prophet, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى, and the night when it is still. Now, Sajal Bahar means still water. It's not talking about the darkness of the night. He's saying, and the night when it is still. This is a translation from your Qurans, and we're not changing that yet. We are working on a Quran that we will change translations and put illustrations for you. But right now, if you look at it, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى, it's the night when it's still, when it's relaxed, when it's calm, when it's settled. Okay? You're only calm, settled, relaxed when you trust. If the house was a complete mess, but you knew that the next morning a cleaner would come and clean, you'd be able to sleep well. If I'm a child at school, I might be really hungry, but I know when I come home, Mama will have cooked something. I don't know what's in my lunchbox, but I know Mama has put something in. I trust. That is وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. Even if you do not see a revelation coming down, trust me, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm there. It's dark, it's silent, all the rest of it. So even if you're waiting for a message, it's okay. I know. There is a reason for it. Maybe I didn't have, you're told give 70 excuses to a person, right? So if they didn't send you a message back, maybe they ran out of data, maybe there was no internet, whatever. Make sure you have all those rather than she stopped loving me, or she doesn't care, or she, whatever the case might be, okay? Now he says, Ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma kala. Now, I need you to look at the number 3. By the way, in your Surah Al-Dhuha, you have a circle which gives you morning light. You've got the night, which has the stars on it. And then you've got 3 number 3s, right? So the first number 3. Ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma kala. Ma is not. Wadda'aka comes from, you know what wida is? Wida is to say goodbye. Wadda is to say goodbye forever. So, ma, not. Wadda'aka rabbuka. Your Rabb is not saying goodbye to you. So you keep on looking at this phone, and his message is not coming. I keep on doing dua for the same thing again and again and again and again. And I say, you looked at everybody in Stanmore except me. Hello, look this side. Don't just look there. Isn't that what you say? Every human being does that. And he's saying, Ma wadda'aka. I have not said goodbye to you forever. Wa ma qala. Now, let me explain qala to you. Qala is when you've outgrown something. Qala is also the detergent that you use to wash something. When you wash something, the detergent is really important, is it not? But when you finished washing it, the detergent is washed away. You didn't even think about it. How many of you think about what happened to your cube of you put in the dishwasher? Nothing. You forgot about it. Yet without it, your dishes would be dirty. There's a wonderful saying that says that the blind man discards the stick that helped him all his life when he can see. That is qala. When the rain stops, the umbrella becomes a burden to carry. Everybody knows that. You don't want to carry an umbrella. But when it's raining, you can't do without it. Okay? So here it says, Ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma kala. I need you to understand what wadda'aka means. Wadda'aka means to say forever goodbye. Qala means something that you have outgrown, something that you discredit, something that you invalidate, something that you think, I don't need this anymore. Right? So it's, again, children, you can use many, many examples. When I taught this surah many, many years ago, I remember saying that the children, when they're young, to them, a dummy, you know what a dummy is, a choo-choo as you call it, right, is like their life. And give it to a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old. That which they couldn't do without and couldn't sleep without now is something of shame. They want to chuck it out and put it away. I don't want that. So, ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma kala. Your Rabb has not said forever goodbye to you, and neither wa ma kala has he discredited you or invalidated you. To me and you, he's saying, if he said, Ad'uni astajib lakum, call me and I will answer. I am there. I am there. I only know what time is better for you rather than you yourself. You need to give this confidence to children. 90% of the time, anxiety happens because we don't know how things are going to pan out in life. Are you good? And then he's saying, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. Akhirah is not the akhirah you and I talk about all the time. Akhirah means what is to come. So what is to come in the future is better than what has gone past. The past is a lesson, something to learn from, something you build on. The future is something you look forward to. The past is what it is. You can't change it. You could do what you like, jump up and down. You can't change the past. However, he's telling you, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. To the Prophet is saying, your future, your legacy, what is going to come is much better than what has gone past. It has been a difficult past. For you and me, he's saying, you can make your future much better than sit on the past and think, oh, woe be to me. Right? 90% of the time we look at the future, up to the past, and we say, oh, it's such a bad, my mama didn't teach me that, and my teachers weren't good, and they told me zwad instead of vad, and oh my goodness, madrasa didn't, oh, and what? Then he's going to sit on it and say, woe be to me. So if I'm wounded in the past, I have two choices. Or I'm hurt in the past. I can either be wounded or I can be wise. Okay? So this is saying, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. That's probably one of the most beautiful ayahs of the Quran. Okay? وَلَسَوْفَ. Sawfa designates very soon. It's the future. So he says, وَلَسَوْفَ, very soon, يُعْطِيكَ, ata means to give. Your Rabb will give you fatarda, that which will make you happy. If you find life is difficult, keep on reading this ayah. Just keep on reading it. وَلَسَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. You know, in many schools, they teach you that these mantras, to look into the mirror every morning and say, I am beautiful. I am wonderful. Have you seen them? I walked, affirmations. I walked into one class in the center one day and I thought, what the heaven is going on? This was Muharram. I am beautiful. I said, yeah, I know, but, it's great. But these affirmations, this is an affirmation. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. So if you're teaching in the mosque, this is a better affirmation than I am beautiful, okay? Which means your Rabb will make your life better, but you have to put your first foot forward as well. Are you good? Now this number 3 that you have in here, you've got 3 number 3s. That's the first number 3. And this 3 is providing comfort. It's telling you your Rabb will never leave you. It's telling you your future can be better. You can make it better. And the third is, you just take the first step. He will help you make it better. Are you good? Good. Okay. Next 3. Now he's saying, just think for a minute. So this is like gratefulness. Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa. Did he not find you an orphan? Ma'awa, and you find Jannatul Ma'wa. You probably read it, right? Ma'wa is a place of refuge, security, and safety. That's what Ma'wa means, okay? Isti'wa is when a wound gets better. So he's telling the Prophet, did he not find you an orphan and give you shelter? If you look back at your life and you think, where was I and where am I now? Okay, so he's saying, Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa. You good with that? وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. Now this is very often misinterpreted. وَوَجَدَكَ, and he found you. ضَالًّا is lost. Fahada. The Prophet wasn't lost. He was lost in thinking, how am I going to guide these people? They're jahil. How am I going to change these people who bury daughters alive? How am I going to change people? I'm told to do this. How am I going to guide them to their full potential? They don't want to listen. If they don't like something, the Makkans had history, right? The Makkans' history was, if they didn't like you, if you were not up to their standard, they would send you in the desert. So if you lived in a council house, I'm sorry, you didn't fit into their whatever. You were out. If you were sick and they thought that you were a burden, they'd send you away or kill you. If you had a daughter, they'd bury you. They'd bury the daughter because daughters were used and abused. So he's saying, well, the Prophet is lost in the sense, how am I going to teach these people? How am I going to change this whole community? So Allah is telling me, weren't you lost? People didn't recognize that you had the answer to the full potential. And the answer that he gave to this full potential is the Quran. Okay? وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. And did he not find you a'il? Now maybe I can use the word a'il. Is not just need. What does it say in want? A'il is somebody who is in desperate need. Did he not find you in desperate need? And then fa'aghna. You know what ghani is? Rich. And he enriched you, right? So today in the morning when I had the senior citizens, most of them are senior citizens. There's some young ones like Shanaz, but they're senior citizens for Amalia Shura. So there were 3 names I taught them. We've been doing a lot of names of Asmaul Husna. But this morning was JGM, just give me. Are you good with that? Just give me. J is Jami. Jami is to gather together. G is Ghani. and Ghani is number 88. And I told them I wasn't referring to them, but 88 is 2 fat ladies. Okay? And I told them my husband says Sukna Soja. Okay, so 88 is 2 fat ladies. You remember 88 now? Ghani. And Mughni is one who is already enriched. So Ghani, Allah is the rich one. Mughni already. And do you know JGM now? You know 3. 87, 88 and 89. Good, great. Okay. So وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. It is good to teach children a little bit of the Asmaul Husna with each one as well. I'll go over some of the other bits as well. So Aghna is not just rich. Aghna is also independent. So he made you independent. Now you could use Abu Talib there. You could use Khadija there. You could use Abu Talib in Alam Yajidka Yatiman Fa'awa as well, because Abu Talib provided the refuge that he needed. So it's a good idea to bring these personalities in and talk about them as well. Sayyidah Khadija laid everything she had at his feet. Okay. So that's your other 3. So the first 3 that we had, which we looked at, this 3, how would you put that? ما ودعك ربك وما كلا وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى. How would you put that down? Would you put that down as hope? Would you put that down as comfort? I would call this comfort. Okay? So it's comforting him. These 3 is gratitude. You good? Okay. Now let's look at the next 3. So you had comfort, you had gratitude, and now you provide comfort to others. فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. So when you see a yatim, when you see somebody who is an orphan, taqhar. Now let me just try and explain qahar to you a little bit, okay? Qahar in essence is, it's to dissolve, but it's like to dissolve someone so they're not even apparent. It's to be domineering. It's to bully someone. It's to dominate someone. It's to intimidate someone. It's to make somebody feel they do not exist. So, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. Now you might think I don't do that. How many times have you put the television on in these last few years, months, and you've seen children who have no parents? By switching the TV off, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. I remember when my father died, I was 10. And I was privileged because I had lots of uncles and aunts who looked after me. But I'm 66 now, so that's 56 years ago. I still remember the day he died. In the evening they had people come home for dinner, and there was a sufra laid out outside because there were so many people. And I remember sitting there. And everybody went to console my mom and talk to her and talk to everybody else. But it was as though, as children, we didn't exist. Maybe they didn't know what to say to us. Maybe that's something we are not taught, what to say to children. And I can only remember one girl. She must have been 13 or 14. And she came and sat near me. And she talked to me in a normal language. Till today. And this is talking about 56 years. In every Salatul Layl, I raise my hands. I don't even know her name. But her face comes into my eyes. So, when you say فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ, qahar is that. It's ignoring someone. It's sort of thinking, I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do. So when you come to a mayyit, when you come to somebody who has died, for God's sakes, look at the kids. And if not, look at, the kids could be old. Doesn't matter if they're 60, 50, 40, 30. Anybody who's lost a parent here knows how it feels. Even today, if you talk about mom and dad, your eyes will just brim up with tears. So, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. It's not just bullying someone, it's just ignoring them, letting them dissolve. وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. And one who asks you, tanhar comes from the word nahar. Nahar is a river. A river flows. Don't give them verbal diarrhea. You know, it flows, words after words after words. Don't make them feel like they're stupid if they're asking you a question. If your student puts up their hand, don't make them feel stupid. Don't drown them in your verbal diarrhea. 90% of the time you find that sometimes when teachers talk, you know what they're talking about. Talk to the child according to their age and their understanding. Let's just go on and on and on, and they think, what was that ology about? I've got a clue. It's got to be simple. So here it says, وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. And when it comes to the blessing, the ni'mah of your Lord, my God, talk about it, means share it. Imam Ali used to say, whenever I am asked, I give. Whoever asks you, in Gujarati we say, fulne to fulne pankre. Never send somebody out without anything. My mother would be horrified if I went to somebody's house without taking something. She'd be horrified. Kina kanive, and I go, oh, puli way. First thing she'd ask, what did you take? I'm sitting there thinking, don't know. Okay, وَعَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Are you good? So we started off, I have to repeat this. What did we say this was? Comfort. What did we say this was? Gratitude. And this was, now provide comfort. Go that extra mile, okay? Are you good? You sure? So close your eyes. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ad-Dhuha. You can see the early morning light. You can see revelation. You can see movement. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. You can see those blue ticks. Give them 70 excuses. That night is stillness. It's okay. It doesn't matter. He hasn't left you. Okay? مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا كَلَى. Your Rabb has not said, there's not a forever goodbye. You're not like detergent to him. He's not washed you away. You haven't outgrown him. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. Okay. What is to come is far better than what was in the past. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. And soon he will give you that which will make you happy. I said, repeat that, teach it to your children, repeat it all the time. The future will always be better. أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى. Now you provide comfort. When you see somebody who is a yatim, فَآوَى. Give them shelter. Make them feel like there's security and safety and they're noticed. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. This is gratitude, okay? So you're thinking of how you were dealt with, you deal it with it the same way. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. People didn't know who you were. We led them to you. You were thinking it's such a big task to change these Arabs. How are these Makkans going to ever change? But we showed them to you through the Quran. وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. And we found you in need, or we found you in desperate need, and we made you independent. Okay? And remember, the independence wasn't only financially independent, because Khadija gave emotional support and financial support. So economically, emotionally, mentally, she was there for him. Okay? Right. Now you're providing comfort for Amal Yatima Fala Takhar. When you see the orphan, obviously Fala Takhar, do not dominate them, do not make them feel like they're dissolved. Wa Amma Sa'ila Fala Tanhar. Somebody who asks you something, don't give them verbal diarrhea. Don't just go on and on and on and on and on, okay? Talk to them in their language. Wa amma bi ni'mati rabbika fahaddith. And the ni'mas of your Rabb, share them. Fahaddith, talk about them means share them, not boast about them. Okay? All right, next one. Surah Al-Inshirah. Now I told you there's a postcode and it's 93, 94 and 103. So 93 you know is Dhuhaa. 94 you know is Inshirah. 103? Come on. Asr. And the way you remember 103, Asr, Fajr, Zohar, Asr. What salah is it? Number 3. Just add 100 to it. Are you good? 103 is Asr. Okay. So Surah Al-Inshirah now, it's all about mountains. It's like climbing a mountain. So the moment you think Inshirah, because Shar means to expand. Shar means relief. Shar means to stretch something until you can see through it. You know, my nani used to make rotli. Look, I'm looking at Fatima, okay? Because she's our nani. And when nani used to make rotli, she would say, only that rotli which you could see through. Like, you know, she would one it and you could see through inside. Then that is rotli. And I look at mine and I think, who didn't teach me, did you? Okay. Okay, so Inshirah, Shar, now you know what it means, expansion, right? Now you got in here lungs, because it is like mountain climbing. I remember when I went to Kilimanjaro, I got to, I think it was about 1,000 feet from the top, and I got altitude sickness because I went too quickly. And you find if you don't allow yourself to get used to the altitude, you come to a stage where you can't breathe. So sharh is where your lungs are expanding, right? Now let's go over this surah. Alam nashrah laka sadrak. Did we not expand your sadr? Sadr, it's quite difficult to say chest, because these kids, when you think of chest, they think of the upper part of a woman's body. But chest, in essence, is a treasure chest in which the heart lives. So if you imagine the heart, and you could draw it for your kids, imagine the heart is inside a big chest, okay? It's inside this protective fence. That's called sadr. So he said, did we not, in other words, when people say that they're upset, they say, I feel like something's constricting me. I feel like, my inside feels like I can't take it anymore. It's just hurting so much. Here he's saying, did we not expand your sharaf for you? Akin to mountain climbing, totally to mountain climbing. Have we not expanded for you? Why? Because the Prophet, and historically, he has been given a task. You are going to make sure that these people reach their full potential through divinity and through you, through divine guidance, through the Quran and through the Prophet. And he's looking at them and thinking, this is like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to teach them? How on earth is this going to happen? So Allah is saying, I know you're feeling constricted. Because when God gives you a task, especially to a prophet, he's going to do it. It's like, I'll give you an example. If I was staying with my mom and mom said, today there are 60 people coming, can you cook for them? And I sit down, even at my age, I sit down and say, 60? You sure? How am I going to do that? How's that going to happen? Now for you lot, it might be easy. For me, it's not. If somebody told me to make 10 rotlis, I think twice. Okay? So here you're saying, Alam nashra laka sadrak. Did we make it easy for you? Go to Google, go to Fatim, whatever. Open the app, open it, find out YouTube and say how to make them. Okay. وَوَضَعْنَا أَنْكَ wizrak. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. Wada'a is to put something down. Wizr is a burden that is so heavy that you think it's going to break you. I told you, somebody told me to cook for 60. Still worry. I don't anymore, but it's a time when you would worry, right? وَوَضَعْنَا أَنْكَ wizrak. So, and we took that burden. Wada'a is to take something from a high place and put it down. So you took it off. Anka wizrak. When we went on Kilimanjaro, and we had some guides with us who were carrying most of the stuff, but I had to carry in my backpack my water, and there was a couple of liters of water. There's a couple of sweets and stuff, and there's a couple of a change of clothes as such. But I found that heavy as well. And I remember, I cannot forget him at all. His name was Ayub, right? So when Ayub said, Mama, I'll take this from you, I was like, oh my goodness. I will never forget Ayub. Because Ayub took my backpack, walked with me, because the backpack had the water, the water straw. And I had the straw and he was walking near me, so he was still carrying it. I mean, how can you forget Ayub, okay? So, وَوَضَعْنَا أَنْكَ wizrak. So it's like somebody's saying, I know you've got this heavy thing that you have to change them. Guess what Allah gave him? The Quran. It's a written document. That will take the weight, that will change people. Only he hadn't met Khojas, no? They just potted and potted and potted, okay? So, وَضَعْنَا أَنْكَ wizrak. So the solution, Ayub, was the Quran. Can you see that? The Prophet was wondering, how am I going to change these people? What's going to happen? And because, remember, those people were so much into poetry and so much into words and so much into kalam, the Quran was amazing for them. That just changed their whole life. So, وَوَضَعْنَا أَنْكَ wizrak, the moment you think that, you think Ayub, you think of the Quran. Are you good? You don't have to talk about Ayub, but hey. He will be pleased. الَّذِي أَنْكَذَ ظَهْرَكَ. Now this backpack, this heavy thing while you're climbing the mountain, naqadha is to break. Naqadha is to untie a contract. So this thing that was weighing down on your back, dhahar is back. It was so heavy, but you couldn't let it go. You couldn't let it go because it was a task given to you. I couldn't let my water go when I was climbing the mountain because that was the only thing that helped me climb up. Only Ayub noticed it, right? So only the Quran was there. He was breaking the Prophet's back, and suddenly the Quran comes and takes it off the back. And look at this Quran. You tell me which surah, I won't tell you. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل الحشر لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. If this Quran was revealed on a mountain, it would just shatter it. Yet look at this. Okay, all right. And then, oh Muhammad, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. And we know how difficult this is for you, but we will elevate you. We will take you up the mountain. Okay, so how did we take you up the mountain? Oh, you've already got it in here. The mountain, by the way, it's right at the top, Inshiraah. So the mountain is salawat, Quran, you know where it goes. Salawat, adhan, and Quran. Every time you recite salawat, you say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala Nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. If you want to teach the Quran, teaches the children salawat, you do nothing that Allah does. Me and you with Allah, no comparison. Only a mom, because a mom creates, right? But if you're not a mom and you've already had children, you don't do anything except salawat. Allah does salawat. The angels do salawat. The only task you and I do that Allah does is salawat. So, and every time salawat is on the Prophet. So, and every time Allah is mentioned, the Prophet is mentioned. Kalima. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. You cannot say La ilaha illallah on its own. You just cannot. Whoever you are, whatever Muslim you are, you will say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So, He's raised, rafa'a is to raise. He's raised your remembrance. This was a tough thing to do, to carry this burden of being able to change these people. All right, another 3 there, okay? He got 2, 3 there. So here now, this is comfort again. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Again, إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Mentioned twice, that's right. By the way, the last one, it's 5 to 8 go into these 3, because the first 2 ayat are literally 1 ayat. Every difficulty has 2 eases. Every single difficulty that you're going to go through, oh Muhammad, will have 2 eases. Now if you think about life, that's how life goes. There is no difficulty in life that comes on its own. And ma'a does not mean after. With, thank God. Ma'a is with, okay? So, with every difficulty, together with it, there'll be two eases. Now let me give you the translation. Usr, which is difficulty, actually means something that is not only a difficult thing, but a difficult situation. Yusran is amazing ease, is extreme ease, okay? And usr can also mean an internal deep problem. And he's trying to tell you and me, if you think about that deep problem, then you will find there are 2 eases. One, there will be a solution to that ease, but the other thing is you'll know more about yourself. When you and I go through difficulties in life, suddenly who you are is up there. This is who I am, if you're willing to accept it. And that's your second ease. Okay, so the second one, that was 1. We've put the other one on the other page because it didn't fit. فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ. فَإِذَا, when. You know what farig means? Farig means when you're free. When you fulfilled all your responsibilities, then fansab. Now, let me try and explain this to you as best as I can. Nasaba is to plant. Is to plant yourself in a place, like if you take a flag and you stick it in the ground, that's called nasaba. But if somebody planted you, have you sometimes seen these people who stand outside Buckingham Palace, these with the red hats, the guards, and they just stand there, and you could go like this and like that, and they just stand there. But standing there must be exhausting, right? So nasaba also means exhaust yourself. when you are, exhaust yourself doing what? So it's saying, when you are free, exhaust yourself. Firmly plant yourself and exhaust yourself. Doing what? The third one. وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ. Exhaust yourself by turning to your Rabb to nourish you. Now, in your, I'll explain in a minute. In your things, you've got a plug charger plugged in. So basically what it's saying, when you finished all your work on your phone and your battery is depleted, charge it by plugging it into Allah. Are you good? Let's start again. When you finished all your work on the phone, so I finished here, and then I look, battery is 2%. Because I've used all of it. I've used my whole day being on this phone. What am I going to do at night? What am I going to do at night? وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ. Raghiba means that you're so hungry that you're satiating yourself. So you are now satiating yourself. You are killing that hunger for Allah. And he's talking about Muddathir and Muzammil. Muddathir talks about talking to people in the morning. Muzammil talks about talking to Allah at night. So it's saying, you will find that it's so exhausting, these difficulties of the daytime. There's so much going on. So much. And it's depleting your energy completely. So fansab, plant yourself on the musalla. Plant yourself with the tasbih. Exhaust yourself until the battery is fully charged. Are you good? You can plug yourself into Allah. Yarhamukallah. You good? All right, close your eyes. Sorry, I need to do this with you. Alam nashrah laka sadrak. You're climbing a mountain and he's making it easy. What is the mountain? The mountain is, how am I going to change these people? How am I going to get the Kojis not to pare and pare and pare? Okay? وَوَضَعْنَا أَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ. And I'm carrying this backpack and I need it. And it's got water in it. But he's saying he's going to take that burden off. How? By the Quran. And this burden nearly broke you because you're saying they're never going to change. I'm talking about the Makkans, not the Kojis here, okay? Never going to change. But he's saying, look, the Quran changed you, right? وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. And they might hate you for it. I mean, Ayub, would you ever have known Ayub? No. But now you do. وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. And O Muhammad, because you strived to be wanting to change these people, we will raise what you're talked about. So salawat, adhan, kalima, Quran, whatever you want to say, okay? فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ. It's difficult, but there's two eases with it. And when you have finished everything you're doing, then plant yourself. On the musalla, plant yourself with a tasbih, even if you're in your bed. In your head, plant yourself with Allah. In other words, وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ. Charge yourself with Allah. In other words, satiate yourself. You're hungry. The way to kill that spiritual hunger is by thinking of Allah. Are you good? You got the Dhuhaa and Inshiraah nailed, I hope. You've got some worksheets. We'll add some more worksheets on. That will be done. What I'd like to just go back today is a couple of things. One more thing before you finish. It's not long. It's only 8:30. Is the dua that you will read, which I did with the old people, or not the old people, the Amal Ashura people in the morning. Now, 90% of the time when you teach children, then you find that you say, Benani dua kon parse? Ya Aliyu Ya Adim, and Allahumma adkhil Allah halil kubur surah. And then the person who reads Iftitah gets so many awards. And the guy who reads Ya Aliyu Ya Adim, to nani dua pairo antone. Yet that nani dua has the world in it. Okay? And because we started Asmaul Husna last Ramadan, I'd like to continue it. You already know Just Give Me. What was just? Jami. Good. Ghani, 2 fat ladies, 88. And Mughni, see, already you know it, right? So here you have Asmaul Husna. And in essence, you have 6 Asmaul Husna that you will talk about. Okay? So it's a wonderful dua. You don't want to call it a small dua. You want to call it the biggest dua in the world. And the younger they read it, or the more they read it, the more you will praise them. I'm not saying iftitah is wrong, or you're saying, but Since when was the longest thing better? This has so much in it. So Ya Aliyu Ya Adim. So Ali is number 36, the most high. Now you've been talking about mountains in Alam Nashra. So whatever you think is higher than that. Ya Ali. And to teach them that whenever you're in trouble, Ya Ali bihaqqi Ali. So you're asking Allah as Ali, and you're asking in the name of Imam Ali. Okay, so you've got 36. Then you've got Adim. Adim is awesome. And you can tell them whenever they think of Ali, they think Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdi, because they go into sajda. At your lowest point, ask the highest. In sajda, ask for your du'as. Okay? Adim is when you're in ruku, yes? Adam in Arabic is a bone. And Adam, bones, provide you with a structure. Azim is that quality of Allah that provides you and me with an awesome structure. Without bones, can you imagine what we would be? Nothing. Even when we die, the flesh goes, but the skeleton remains. That's how strong a structure is. And that's how strong Allah is. He will remain. So, Ya Aliyu Ya Azim. Ya Ghafuru Ya Rahim. Now there is Ghaffar, Ghafur, Tawab and Afu. These are the 4 Asmaul Husna that come in. Ghaffar is number 14. Ghaffar is one who forgives you again and again and again and again. But Ghafur, here the word is Ghafur. Ghafur is he who forgives that sin which is so deeply embedded in your soul that you can't tell anyone. And it's bothering you. It's following you everywhere. Ithm is the sin that follows you everywhere. Okay? So, when you want to ask him to forgive you, which is the month of forgiveness, which is Shaban and Ramadan, but Ramadan more than anything else, because he says in his sermon that it meets you with forgiveness, keep on saying Ya Ghafur. Right? So Ghafur is number 34. Are you good? Ya Aliyu Ya Adim. Ya Ghafuru Ya Rahim. Anta Rabbul Azim. Oh my goodness. You are the most awesome Rabb. Rabb, Allah appears in the Quran 2,699 times. Rabb appears in the Quran 975 times. It is the second most used word in the Quran when it refers to Allah. All the prophets will start their du'as with Rabb or Rabbi or Rabbana, as you all know, right? Rabb comes from Rububiyah. Tarbiyah is where parents will raise you. That's why you say Rabbi irhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. So Rabb is he who will hold your hand and take you to your full potential. So you are the one who will take me to my personal best. And you are just awesome. I will hold your hand. I normally tell the story of the little girl who had a doll. And the doll was broken. And Mama said, take it to the doll hospital. And when she took it to the doll hospital, she came back home, doll still broken, and Mama got really angry, went to the doll hospital. You can just imagine moms, right? Went to the doll hospital and said, my daughter brought this doll and you didn't mend it. And the doctor said, she just wouldn't let it go. If she let it go and gave it to us, we would have mended it. So that's what a Rabb does. Hand yourself to him, surrender. That's why you say, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Okay. Alladhi laysa kamithlihi shay. They could read Surah Al-Ikhlas. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And finally, wa huwa as-sami'ul basir. He hears that noise that nobody hears. He hears the breaking of the heart, the deafening silence, that which you feel inside that you cannot vocalize. He hears it all. He sees that tear that you shed in the middle of the night. He sees everything that's happening to you. And when you go to وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ, instill Sami and Basir, 26 and 27 to them. He knows. He sees it all. He sees the hurt that you've been hurt with when somebody said something or did something or whatever. But call him by these names, because Surah number 7, ayah 180. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. I suggest that you download that book or get a copy, and that book, which has all of it in it, right? I mean, I'm sure you have your own books. It really doesn't matter what you use. And finally, right at the end, it says, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. And Ya Arhamar Rahimin is a combination of Rahman and Rahim. I forgot to say Ya Ghafuru, Ya Rahim. I forgot Rahim. So there are 3 R's, Rahman, Rahim, and Ra'uf. Rahman is extensive temporal, immediate. Rahim is continuous and in response to an action. So Rahman is like the dentist, immediate. Rahim is like the dental hygienist. You have to subscribe. But both involve pain. Ra'uf does not involve pain. So you find Imam Rida said that my father told me that his father told him, that whenever you have issues in life, Ya Ra'uf, Ya Rahim. You could teach them, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, bihakki bismillahir rahmanir Rahim. There's a wonderful story, and I'll end with that. Whereby there was this man who went to the Prophet's mosque, and on Friday he went there and he lived a distance away. And the Prophet said that whenever you are in trouble, 100 times, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, bihakki bismillahir rahmanir Rahim. So he said, okay. On his way home, he's ambushed, and this guy says, I'm going to kill you. And he says, what have I done wrong to you now? What's going on? He said, well, you believe in Muhammad, so I'm going to kill you. So he said, he tied me up. He put me on the ground with my face to the ground, and he said, all I could think of was what the Prophet told me, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, bihakki bismillahir rahmanir Rahim. He said, as I got to about 40, I could feel him raising his sword, and there was a noise. And he said, just stay where you are, I'm coming just now. So he said, okay. And he said, I finished the rest of the 50 while he went to investigate what was happening. He said, when he came back, I thought, that's it, khalas. Maybe that's my destiny. And he said, suddenly I see a head near me, and I'm thinking, my head? That's how death feels, My head's there. He said, no, it was the guy there, his head. Because the other guy who had seen him killed him. So he said, how Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, bihakki bismillahir rahmanir Rahim helped him. Now it might be gruesome for the kids, but you can temper that to what you want and say maybe he was freed, maybe the guy, whatever you want to say. It doesn't really matter. Because for children, the boys quite like gruesome things, but girls don't. Okay? So you can probably put it in another way. Are you good with that? Okay. So these are Asmaul Husna. Hopefully you will use them with everything you have. And those are the 2 surahs. Any questions? Exactly what I was telling them in the morning. No, not in the morning, some other class, I think. See, at that time, the walls didn't go to the top. He did. His happiness, the vibes would express, because he would recite it all the time. And because she didn't hear any new recitations, and she was next door to him. It's exactly what happened during Kauthar. Because when he lost his son, she was the one who said, Batara Muhammad. So she danced in the streets. Because that's right. But it's the vibes that comes. When your neighbors are happy, even though there's so much in between us, But they didn't even have those walls between them. So she knew that. That's how he expressed himself. You could. People used to jump over walls. Exactly. Yeah. There wasn't any privacy at all. You know that, don't you? We could see into his window. Yeah. Absolutely, because he says, "La taqnatu min rahmatillah." Okay, Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jamia. Don't despair in His mercy, because He forgives all sins. And I think that's where we go wrong, because we have doom and gloom for everyone. It's not like that. And it's the ayat of Quran are just so beautiful. Right? And we don't stick to the positive ones. We tend to stick. I keep on telling people about 833. Please refer to it. So 0833 is where he says, I will not punish a people who have Muhammad amongst them. I will not punish a people who do istighfar. So I tell children all the time, even on your dying day, when the angels come and tell you, this is what you did, tell them 0833. Because they cannot contest the Quran. And I did istighfar all my life. So He's not going to touch me. It's not rocket science to say, Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. I think the ayah you're referring to is, Ya ibadi alladhina asrafu ala anfusihim la taqnatu min rahmatillah inna Allaha yaghfiru dhunuba jamia inna Allaha ghafurur rahim. I think it's 39:53. Okay? So, Ya ibadi alladhina asrafu, all those who have been unjust to themselves. The greatest sin is la taqnatu min rahmatillah. Do not despair in His mercy. I love that phrase. Inna Allaha yaghfiru dhunuba jamia. He will forgive all sins. And that obviously goes to us. We don't forgive people. 833 is not that. 833 is this was 3953. Okay. 833 is where he will not punish a people who do istighfar. Okay. And it would be good if you got the children to bring the Qur'ans and journal them, and you did little ayat that actually go hand in hand with this. Hopefully on the group, I shall be posting those. We have a separate group in the afternoon, and I think you have a separate group at night. I don't know. So our afternoon group has afternoon logistics on it. So I think I've put you on there so you can transmit it to your group, which will be easier. But I will make sure I'll put stuff on it. Okay? Or you can add me to your group and I can... Either way, both of you are on this group, so you can transmit it to your own relevant groups. Because I think it'll get quite boring if all of you suddenly have afternoon Itla Fatiha and this and that and all the rest of it, and you get a bit fed up. But at least we can put stuff on Quran, and you can both transmit it to your people. Are you comfortable with that? And if you have any questions, just reach out. Okay, I'll try my best to answer what you have. I will still do Q Bites. We still have a group here called Q Fatima Updates. So if you want to go on that group, talk to Fatima, she'll give you the link, and you can be added onto that. And that I will put something on every day. Every day, yeah. Not only for this, but for anything else. I've already started preparation for Ramadan on there. So I'll keep on putting it on. So you can use that for the kids as well. Are you good? Okay. Hopefully you will annotate this for the children. You can use stickers, you can use whatever you want, but it's a good idea to do something like that. And they should know this sermon like the back of their hand.